3 ways that you could deal with rejection. I want to pat myself on the back, not to start the show off like this because it's always about you, right? But this is episode 200. 200. And when I started the podcast back in, I want to say 2017, my goal was to only do 52. And I wrote out 52 and guests that I wanted to have on the show. And some of those guests I actually got on the show, but other guests I would just reach out to on social media and, they wouldn't really respond. But, over the years, I've had the opportunity to share the platform with a number of good friends, colleagues, a number of entrepreneurs, artists, creators, producers, coaches, authors, wow, actors, actresses, just a whole gang of people that I'm thankful for that have added to the journey, right? That the exchange that we have in sharing information and sharing our stories and our journeys that aren't always pretty, This isn't the podcast where you tune into and you're going to get, the happiest of moments, But what you will leave with is a sense of no matter how great of a challenge you're faced with, there's a way that you can make it through it. No matter how low you could be at your lowest point, but there's a way that you can make it through it, because the very first podcast episode, I was at one of my lowest points. To come full cycle and to have lost my mother during this process, and to still log on each week, or, I lost kind of track for a minute, but to log on and share stories and techniques and tools of how you can make it. That's what this whole thing is about. You can listen to these things and learn that when you go through something, there is a way for you to make it through. And I've had guests that have reached out over the years and talked about, how I've helped them make it through the day, or how I've helped them recover in a traumatic experience in life, or how I've helped them through depressing times in college, or, this is the first time that they've written a book and been able to share their story on a platform. I'm thankful that you guys have allowed me to do so. And I'm thankful for all of you who tune in and share, and, how this has grown from probably, 10 people to a few thousand people that listen to it. So I am extremely humble, grateful, and thankful to all of you who have tuned in from when the show was called Motivation and Confidence to now, The Thinking Effect. With that being said, the segue is facing rejection. I remember growing up as a kid, I would always ask for a quarter. I would ask my grandmother or grandfather for a quarter because I wanted to go to the candy store to get some cookies or candy or chips or something. And not all the time did they have a quarter to give me. And I remember one time I asked my grandmother for a quarter, and she was like, "I ain't got it right now, baby." And I wanted to be able to have the same things that my friends had, because a lot of times, they had, 50 cents or $1, whatever, quarter, whatever it was, right? She gave me a kiss on my cheek. It was like, "I ain't got it, but I love you." And as a kid, sometimes you smell like, "Well, I ain't asking you for no love. I asked you for a quarter. I just want a quarter so I can have snacks and chill out with my friends. Looking back at it, in so many words, she told me that, like, no is not the worst answer. No is not the worst answer. No could mean no in the literal sense of no, no is no, you know. But in the case of the quarter, it was just like, no, you can't have it right now. To bring this into some context, I was working with a producer that I met online, very, very talented, very talented. Ear is amazing, and we've done a song recently together. And I asked him, like, why aren't you putting more material out there? He's like, I have a fear of rejection. Now, if you're on social media and if you're in the artistic field, you're going to get rejected. You are going to get rejected because art is subjective. You could have something that is like the most mosaic type of piece that you think is beautiful, but to other people, they'll say like, nah, I'm not feeling that, or it's trash, or this is what's wrong with it. Or, you know, I've had situations where I've applied for particular jobs and the answer was no. It was like, no, you're not ready. And I've met other people who just blatantly outright just don't like to hear the word no. But if we go back to like episode 2, I think it was episode 2 or 3. So if you have time, you know, we have 51 hours worth of content for you to sift through. It was episode 2 or 3, and it talks about the power of saying no. If we preach, or if I've explained to you, expressed to you the power in you saying no, imagine what it feels like to another person to tell you no. Now, you have to really question internally, what is it about the no? And we're considering the rejection as a no, right? What is it about the rejection that is really bothering you? Now, if we can be honest with each other, more than likely it's some sort of comparison. Most of the time when you're rejected, you're thinking in your mind that something's wrong. Like what's wrong with me? Why am I not fitting in? Why am I not accepted? Why does the answer have to be no? So deeper than the rejection, what it always, to me, goes back to is your self-awareness. Are you aware of the things that push your buttons or grind your gears? Are you aware of your strengths and weaknesses? Or have you been raised in a household to where you were always coddled and told yes to protect your feelings, and now that you're grown up and you're starting to hear the word no, it feels painful. I've submitted, a bunch of music in the past 3 years, and 98% of it was no. 98% of it was no. I've been on job searches where, again, 90% of the job applications were like, no. You could post stuff on social media and you think that it's going to get X amount of traction, and people just don't rock with it. So you have to ask yourself the question of, why do you feel that the no is taking something away from you? Why do you feel like it's going to devalue you? Do you think that it boils down to self-love, self-worth, acceptance, all of the above? And if it is one of those things, one or more, what can you do to manage it? Because, of all the things that I've learned in the past 5 years, it's sort of like the bad habits don't go away. The anger is not gone. Just learn how to manage it. I know that if I don't exercise, I'm going to feel a particular way. I'll feel bad and my health will begin to fail If I drink too much, if I eat too much sugar, if I eat too much junk, got to manage it in moderation. The same thing with people. Certain people you can only tolerate in moderation. And then also you have to ask yourself the validity of the no. Because some people are just straight bitter. And they will do things just to grind your gears because they see you doing something that they wish they could do, but they don't. So an easy way for them to impose how they feel on you is to say no, is to make you feel as if you're being rejected. And, you know, as a learning experience, there's nothing wrong with asking, is there a particular reason why this isn't good enough or accepted? Or can you explain to me the reason for your decision? I think that's a better way to phrase it. Can you explain to me the reason for your decision? Or you know, how did you come at that decision? And see what they say. And then, you know, and from that, if you see or hear a pattern for the reason why on that particular thing, then maybe it's something you can adjust. Right? Especially with music. Like, you know, some people's like, oh, your mix is off, or oh, you're this or that. And it's sort of like, okay, well, let me partner with a person that could mix better. Maybe it's a valid point. Maybe my mix is off. You know, I submitted some music about a month ago and a Grammy Award winning producer said, oh man, your mix is off. Oh, when I heard it come directly from him and not just some random person online that I submitted music to, I said, oh, let me partner with partner with an engineer. Get my mix right. So now, you know, I submit certain things. And it's like, you got it. You know, there's nothing wrong with what you do. It's just, you know, it's not for me. I respect that. And you're not going to be for everybody. So it's about digging deep within yourself, knowing who you are, and managing the process, right? So I always like to summarize things for you. So it's sort of like 3 ways that you could deal with rejection. 1 is to be self-aware. 2 is to ask the person, how did you come at that decision? And 3, whatever you learn from that situation, how can you apply it so that you can be more prepared or better for the next time? This is the thinking effect. Will we help you do your daily best?